Hey guys, this is Michelle at Etchr Art, and today I'm doing part 3 of my Summer Treats Sketchbook series, so feel free to paint along with me. In this tutorial, I'll be painting this watermelon-inspired slushie. Okay, so I'm going to start the same way that I did my other illustrations, where I just have the tracing paper over the graph paper, and that just kind of helps me. You can see I'm counting my spaces, and that's helping me to make the cup more parallel on both sides or even on both sides. I have trouble drawing glasses to be sort of I guess like to where they look the same on each side. That's a struggle bus for me. So I feel like using the graph paper is a really advantageous way to get my sketch down. Now you'll see when I actually transfer this to my sketchbook, I made a decision to just put a slice of watermelon in front of part of my glass. And so if you don't want to take the time to kind of make sure that everything's super even and parallel, you can always, try that strategy as well. So I got my paints activated with my spray bottle, and I mixed up a red and a couple versions of green, and that's for my slushie, but also for my watermelon and the rind of the watermelon. So I'm just going in with my red, and I wanted this to be a really thick, bright illustration. So I just kind of went in with that dark paint, and you can see now where the watermelon slice that's kind of resting against the glass is starting to shape up, because I'm, painting around that. One thing I realized I forgot to sketch was actually the lip of the glass. So I just decided, this is pretty casual. It's just in my sketchbook. I'm just gonna go in with that, line with right in with my paints. I was kind of brave on this one. And then I sort of thought the slushie should be a little bit rough and uneven, so you can kind of see I made it a little bit like moundy, I guess, on top. And I think actually that lid came out, or that lip of my glass came out okay. So to do my watermelons, I put down some clean water, and then I'm just dropping in a watered down version of the slushie. I wanted my watermelons to be a little bit lighter, because I think like sometimes when you cut into them, they're not super dark. So I wanted to get a little bit more realism actually with my watermelon color. And so you can see I'm just kind of very lightly dropping in paint on the one half of it. So I'm going to do kind of a 3D slice. You can see the other side of the slice there that I'm leaving blank for the moment. And I'm going to move on to the watermelon at the top of my slushie. Of course, that'll be after you can see I'm kind of adding in the rind, and I wanted that transition from the red to the rind is kind of like a really dark green, but there's that like in between, which is almost white, but kind of like a yellowish green. So I tried to capture that with my illustration as well. And so hopefully that gives it a little bit of an air of realism. And here I'm moving up to the watermelon that's going to be a slice that's going to be sticking out of my slushie. And I follow the same process. I'm just laying down some clean water, and I'm going to drop in a very watered down version of the red that I mixed up for the slushie. Okay, Okay, so in this area, you can see I'm trying to prevent the red from going too close to the rind, or just having it be a much lighter red as it gets up closer to the rind, because I think that's more realistic of, what a watermelon looks like when you cut into it. So I'm trying to depict that here, and I'm, spending kind of, I would say most of the time in this illustration, I spent trying to get my watermelon slices to look realistic. Then here, I'm just touching up some areas where I thought the red could have popped a little bit, and maybe I'm just trying to even out some areas as well. And again, I'm turning my attention back to the watermelon, and you can see I'm going back and forth between adding a little bit more red and then cleaning off my brush and mopping off some of the areas that I don't want to be quite as red. And I'm going to wait for that to dry. And now that my initial portion of my slice has dried, I'm going to do kind of the other side of the watermelon in front of the glass. And I chose to do it in a little bit of a darker shade of my red, because I think that side would be seeing less of the sun, and I really did want to differentiate between the sides so that I could get that 3D effect. And I'm gonna follow the same process of painting in the other side of the watermelon on the top of my slushie. I'm gonna follow the same process that I did for the one that sits in front of the slushie glass. And so I added a little bit more green to the rind, and then I felt like my watermelon that is sitting in the slushie looked a little bit dull in color, so I added a little bit more of the red in there. And again, I mop up where the areas where I don't want the paint to go. Okay, so I have a really watered down gray, and I'm using that to paint in the lip of the glass. And I'll also use that to paint in the base of the glass, and I'll use an even more watered down version of that gray to paint in a little bit in the back of the glass, so that it isn't just kind of solidly white. I don't typically like to leave too many things solidly white in my paintings. Okay, so this was a really easy, I think beginner friendly illustration. And like I said, I like to kind of blend the realism with the illustrative style. I think it creates kind of a fun effect. So thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to see more content like this.